Hello, and welcome back to Ask a Newsworker. Today's video is inspired by a viewer suggestion, a viewer comment. A viewer got in touch with me and said, hey, I came across this article that I think would be good inspiration for a video of yours. If you could do a video on it at some point, that would be great, and I agree. And the video and the article in question are about the very troubling but unfortunately true phenomena that is journalistic fraud. Journalistic fraud meaning when journalists or reporters make things up, fabricate details, fabricate events, quotes, and then put it in their published reports, which then circulate and mislead or confuse people. Unfortunately, it does happen. So let's get into the article in question that the viewer brought my attention to. It's from earlier this year. I'm recording this in September 2022. This is from June 2022. It says USA Today. It's from the USA Today website, so they're admitting it themselves. It was an internal issue. USA Today removed 23 stories from website, other platforms following audit of reporters' work. After receiving an external correction request, USA Today audited the reporting work of Gabriela Miranda. The audit revealed that some individuals quoted were not affiliated with the organizations claimed and appeared to be fabricated. The existence of other stories quoted could not be independently verified. In addition, some stories included quotes that should have been credited to others. As a result, USA Today removed 23 articles from its website and other platforms for not meeting our editorial standards. The headlines of the articles are listed below. Miranda has resigned as a reporter for USA Today and the USA Today network. We strive to be accurate and factual in all our content and regret this situation. We will continue to reinforce and strengthen our reporting and editing diligence and processes as we, and then they go on to list what they're going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again. Has this happened before? Did this happen before the USA Today situation that I just described? Unfortunately, yes. There was a high-profile case in 2003. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page now. Jason Blair with the New York Times. He was a journalist with the New York Times, a very esteemed, highly regarded news outlet in the English language. He eventually confessed and previously was accused of fabricating details in his stories, plagiarizing as well, but fabricating was a big part of it. Making things up, writing things that didn't actually happen, writing quotes that people didn't actually say, maybe even inventing people in some cases. I'll let you read the full page yourself. I'll link to it at the bottom of this video so you can see all the details. But this was a big one because it's the New York Times, and the idea is that the New York Times should never even be in this situation. They should never even hire a person that would be capable of this, but sometimes these things can be very difficult to detect, perhaps in an interview. I don't think a lot of editors even say, like, do you fabricate stories? Have you fabricated stories? Do you understand why that's a bad thing? It's just sort of assumed that you won't do that if you're walking into the New York Times. Unfortunately, some people might be thinking, hey, I'm at the New York Times. This is a perfect chance to do all that fabricating that I was hoping to do all this time, or maybe did when I was a small-time reporter, but now I'm at the New York Times and I have a huge audience that I can mislead. Again, the psychology behind this sort of behavior may be complex or may be hard to explain at first. I'll get into that maybe near the end of the video. So that was one high-profile example from 2003. A more recent one from the world of German journalism is a guy named Klaas Relotius. I don't know if I'm saying that right. He wrote for Der Spiegel, which is a very popular and highly regarded news magazine in the German language. They also have an English outlet as well, Der Spiegel English. He resigned in 2018 after admitting numerous instances of journalistic fraud. Reading about this on the Wikipedia page. I'd write about it outside of the Wikipedia page, but it's a good summary of what happened. Same sort of thing. I mean, you can read all the details. He made stuff up. He went to places and wrote that certain things happened that didn't. He made up quotes, it seems like in some cases, just completely misled the public, misled the readership into thinking certain things were true when they were not. And again, why does this happen? Why would a person do this? I think it's instructive to go back to why people lie in the first place. Like, why is there even lying? It's a big philosophical question, perhaps. But it might also have a very simple answer. I think personally, my own take, my own view, is that people lie to get ahead in a way that they couldn't if they told the truth. Sometimes the truth can hold a person back. So they lie. They think if I make something up, I'll get ahead faster than if I just stuck to the truth. There's a lot of people who are motivated by glory, motivated by the idea of being seen as an accomplished, respected, good person. They want to be seen as a good person. A lot of people get into journalism to be seen as good people. And some of them are good people. There's a lot of great, good journalists out there, but there's a lot of people who I think are motivated by ego and think I want to be celebrated. I want to win awards. The Klaas Relodius guy I was talking about from Der Spiegel, he won numerous awards before being outed as a fraud. It probably felt good to be on that stage and have people shake your hand and talk about how great you are and how you've done such incredible work exposing the truth about certain situations. Meanwhile, you were making stuff up. I'm sure he didn't make up every single thing that he wrote about, but he made up enough that he got busted for it and admitted to it. And I personally think this sort of stuff is horrible and completely ruins the reputation of serious news outlets. I mean, Der Spiegel is probably still recovering to some degree. They've been very open about how they didn't catch it and how they want to prevent it from ever happening again. The New York Times did the same thing. But this is why, in part, people scream fake news sometimes, or why they say the media lies. I don't trust the media. Do people have a reason to say that? In some cases, yes, because unfortunately, there have been situations where people have done things like this in major news organizations. I mean, pretty much every profession, I would say, has some form of malpractice. There's medical malpractice when a doctor or surgeon messes up and seriously hurts or kills a patient. That exists. There's journalistic malpractice too. Sometimes it may be accidental. Sometimes maybe someone had a bad source or got some bad information and didn't mean to pass on a lie. But these are cases, from what I'm reading, from what I've read, from what I've dug into, and again, you're free to do your own research too, where the people knew what they were doing. They knew they had an opportunity to fabricate information for a large audience, and they did it. And they thought they wouldn't get caught. No one will check. No one will look into this. But people did. And again, you can read the full details of how they eventually got caught. The psychology of it may be confusing, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just that lying can get a person something that they couldn't get if they told the truth. And that might go for any situation. Lying helps people get away with things. I don't like it. I try not to lie in my own life. I try to be honest as much as I can, especially when I'm doing my job. One of the big anxieties I have when I do my news editor job, my news worker job, is I worry, am I passing along something false? Because I'm usually receiving information from somewhere else, from a reporter themselves, and I think, I hope this is all true, and I have no choice in the moment but to trust it. I'm sure there were many editors working with the person from the New York Times and person from Der Spiegel, hoping or trusting that everything they were submitting was true and not false, but it turned out to not be the case. So I worry about that myself. I don't want to pass along falsehoods. I don't want to mislead people because I understand that it erodes the trust that's out there. People are suspicious. People are wondering, what is the media trying to do? Like, what are they trying to do to us? Are they trying to confuse us? Are they trying to meddle in our lives? Are they trying to make us think things that aren't true? These are all suspicions that already exist out there, and I really don't think it should be made worse by people fabricating stuff. So I'm very disturbed and upset whenever I hear about these things because, again, it hurts the whole business, hurts the whole industry. But I think why it happens, once again, is because people want glory and they want fame. It's the same old human motivations. People want to get ahead without doing the work. Sometimes reporters show up to a place and it's maybe not as exciting as they were hoping. Like, oh, I was hoping there'd be more stuff to write about. I hoping there would be more cool people. Well, I guess I'll just make them up then. You shouldn't do that. You're not supposed to do that unless you're saying, hey, this is a work of fiction. It's all made up because it's my imagination. If you're admitting it's your imagination, that's one thing. But if you're saying, no, this is all factual and I met all these people and they said all the stuff I'm writing about, that's wrong. It's journalistic malpractice. It's wrong. It's damaging to the public trust. It shouldn't happen, but it does. So, yes, unfortunately, there are cases where reporters do make things up and then get caught. Sometimes they don't. There might be people out there right now doing this sort of thing, and we have no idea. It's uncomfortable to think about, but that's why it's important to be skeptical and to always remember that a reporter, getting back to the video I made on what is a reporter, is someone who's in between. There's someone who has an opportunity to pass along information from somewhere else. And if they're nefarious, if they're unethical about it, they can change that information. Some of you might be familiar with the game of telephone. I played it when I was a kid. Maybe, I don't know what country you're in watching this. Maybe they don't have it there, but it's where people sit in a circle and someone whispers a message into someone's ear at the start of the circle or at one part of the circle, and they're all supposed to pass the message along. And sometimes, often, the message changes. So that when the final person says the message, it's very different from what the initial person said. That can happen with the media too. So unfortunately, it does happen. It's just good to be aware that it's out there. Again, this channel is about raising awareness. I'm not necessarily here to reassure you and tell you it's all okay. I'm trying to raise awareness of serious problems and lapses that can occur within the media. So tell me what you think. Write a comment, send me an email, like, subscribe, all those things. And we'll keep the conversation going here on Ask a Newsworker. Thanks for watching.